The House and Senate make a major deal. North Korea starts an attack kind of on South Korea. Will this actually lead to a war there? Like we need yet another war. This would be a third war. Is this World War III? I'll give you the details on this. All we need left is China to attack Taiwan, and there would be four wars going on. Can the world handle anymore? Um, wow. So let's jump right in. Thank you so much for liking these videos. Here we go. Okay, first up, the House and the Senate release a bipartisan agreement on government funding as a shutdown deadline looms. So this still needs to actually be passed, but this is a positive sign. I believe the deadline to pass this is January 19th. The deal will see a government funding top line of $1.59 trillion. That is how much it takes to fund the government for 1 year. This consists of $886 billion for military spending, U.S. defense spending. I don't believe that that includes additional funding for Ukraine or additional funding if there were to be money for Israel. That would be additional. That's additional money if there were to be more sent to either of those countries. $704 billion for non-defense spending. House Speaker Mike Johnson of Louisiana said in a Sunday note, Mike Johnson said, after many weeks of dialogue and debate, we have secured hard-fought concessions to unlock the fiscal year 2024 top-line numbers and allow Appropriations Committee to finally begin negotiating and completing the 12 annual appropriations bill. So it does look like they still have a lot of work ahead of them. As the deal comes, as the House and Senate inch closer to the key January 19th deadline, where funding runs out for many federal agencies. Funding for the rest of the government expires on February 2nd. Meanwhile, North Korea fires hundreds of artillery shells into the disputed border area with South Korea. And this shows you that you kind of think of the Axis and the Allies from World War II. We're starting to see these situations. The Axis countries for maybe World War III, North Korea, China, Iran, and Russia are growing bolder and bolder here. North Korea's artillery bombardment began on Friday with approximately 200 shells fired into the sea and the border area with South Korea. This also comes here as just a few days ago, Kim Jong-un, North Korea's president, says that their military should, quote, thoroughly annihilate the United States and South Korea if provoked. Yeah, so this just gives you an idea of what North Korea says and what they're doing, and they don't care about anything else. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said his military should, quote, thoroughly annihilate the United States and South Korea if provoked, state media reported, after he vowed to boost national defense to cope with what he called an unprecedented U.S.-led confrontation. Never mind those 200, artillery shells they just fired. It's not, it's the U.S.-led confrontation. But we have seen it from both countries, yeah. North Korea has increased its warlike rhetoric in recent months in response to expansion of U.S.-South Korean military drills. Experts expect Kim will continue to escalate his rhetoric and weapons tests because he believes he can use heightened tensions to wrest U.S. concessions if former President Donald Trump wins the U.S. presidential election in November. In a 5-day major ruling party meeting last week, Kim Jong-un said he will launch 3 more military spy satellites, produce more nuclear materials for nuclear weapons, and develop attack drones this year in what observers say is an attempt to increase his leverage in future diplomacy with the US. Remember, though, that his sister, who's very high ranking, almost kind of second in command, and basically him, thereby association, said that they would never negotiate or have talks with the United States ever again. So this kind of gives you an idea where they are with the United States and by association with South Korea. They'd rather just fire military artillery shells at them instead, which is almost an act of war. I mean, well, you might consider it an act of war, but it's very close. I mean, all you need is one or two of them to actually hit a target or some personnel, some people, and you actually might have an act of war or a declaration of war. You can let me know your thoughts. Don't forget, we actually have 2 major wars right now, and the U.S. is involved in them already. And China's watching very closely. Don't forget that China just told the Chinese president, just told President Biden in their meeting, and then it was disclosed by the United States that the Chinese president, Xi, said that they're going to take over Taiwan one way or another. So you can let me know your thoughts on this. And don't forget, the U.S. is bound by the U.S.-Taiwan Relations Act, which Congress, has that we would help defend them in one way or another. Different people have different interpretations of this, but that's something the U.S. has. So you guys can let me know your thoughts on this. And one thing's for sure is that the U.S. can't really be, involved in 3 or 4 wars, major wars. This would certainly be World War III. You have 3 or 4 major wars, United States involved in them, all the world involved in them all. Many people think we're somewhat in World War III already. Now we have 3 or 4 major wars. If North Korea and South Korea have a war, and then China jumps into Taiwan. One thing's for certain is that the U.S. is not going to be able to be involved in all of them. Let's hope that this doesn't happen. I mean, I remember when people were saying that Russia wasn't going to invade Ukraine. No, that was just warmongering, fear-mongering. Those 150,000 troops they put on the border there, that wasn't going to happen. Russia wasn't going to do it. They were just putting those troops there just for funsies. And then now we had Hamas attack Israel on October 7th, and here we are now in January 7th. And in fact, Israel says it has completed their mission to destroy Hamas infrastructure in northern Gaza. But they're not done. It's just the infrastructure in northern Gaza. Now they're going to shift to southern Gaza, and Netanyahu insists the war is not over. And now, of course, Hamas has said over and over that they're not going to stop. They're going to repeat what happened on October 7th over and over and over. Also, here in the headlines, Israel's talk of expanding war to Lebanon alarms the United States. And American intelligence assessments found that it would be difficult for Israel to succeed in a war against Hezbollah amid ongoing fighting in Gaza. Hezbollah has about 100,000 plus troops, but we have Hezbollah and the Houthis attacking Israel and the Red Sea, and this is thereby why we see these wars expanding, and why many people think that these wars are expanding into world wars, and many countries involved. In fact, you can even see this here. North Korea's gonna pay a high price for aiding Putin with weapons. The United Kingdom warns. So you can see how many different countries are involved in all these different wars. This is North Korea gonna pay a high price for aiding Putin, Russia, with weapons. This is the United Kingdom warning. So this is why many people think we're in amidst the World War III, because how many different countries are actively involved in these two major wars that are going on right now. And all we need, or all we don't need, is North Korea to actually get involved in attacking South Korea, or China to actually get involved with taking over Taiwan. And China is the elephant in the room with like 1.2 or 1.3 billion people. Billion people. We have like 330 million people. They have like 4 or 5 times the population of the United States. Um, that's something that we don't want to take on. Taiwan's a tiny, tiny little island in comparison to China. Um, it's just a David and Goliath situation that would be. And what's the United States going to do? And China's got nuclear weapons. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, right? Um, and of course, the U.S. doesn't even want to get involved with Putin, and Ukraine's actually been held them off for 2 years or whatever. Uh, it's a totally different situation with China with over 1 billion people and Taiwan. I mean, um, that's a nightmare. Don't forget, there's two other wars going on. I mean, literally, it's just China knows this. China's literally primed to strike. The problem here is that China could lose everything, because if the United States says, "Hey, we're not going to buy anything from you ever again," China's got a lot to lose there. This is a lot of different things going on here, and the U.S. has a lot to lose, because if we don't buy anything from them ever again, well, then we could literally remember that we had a toilet paper shortage, just toilet paper, and how many, a couple different things there. Imagine if we had a shortage of everything that came from China. I know people say, "Oh, well, that'd be great. We don't need to buy things from China." But remember how scary it was when it was just a toilet paper shortage and just a few things shortage. People don't even realize how many things come from China. And and then the problem is that the skyrocketing of prices would be the real scary thing. People are, how many people are just getting by right now, and how many people can barely afford groceries, and how many people can barely afford to go to the store right now. Imagine if everything just doubled or tripled in price when you go to the store, because of you go to the store and everything's sold out and there's bare shelves, and the run on the stores would be the major issue. And remember when there was cars were sold out and you couldn't get car parts, that would all happen, because there would just be a shortage of everything, because there would just be a global shortage of materials, and there would just be a shortage on everything. Like, you don't even understand the problems and all the materials. It would be an absolute nightmare. And then we would have three wars going on here. I mean, let's hope that doesn't happen. But remember, we already have two wars going on, and we already have many, many, many countries involved. And the U.S. has already been supplying military parts for Ukraine, for Israel. We've been funding Israel with money for a while. They're an ally. And we've been supplying Taiwan with military ammo and supplies for a while. They've been buying them, and so forth. It's, a lot of different things there. But we really need to hope that there's not a further escalation with either North Korea or Taiwan and China, because we can't handle it. We're already kind of stretched thin, not just the US, but the whole world right now. So let me know your thoughts on all this stuff, and I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here on a daily basis. as the world turns. Yeah. So thank you so much for liking these videos. Make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on anything coming up here. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 8 p.m. And click here to see the new video about millions of people that might be owed up to $2,500 that you might not know about here in this video. Or click here to watch my newest video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.